welcome back to Screen Preach for episode 64. Welcome back, guys. Thank you for returning. Anyone who does, anyone who listens, we're back for another episode. And, 10:51 p.m. on Friday night. 11 p.m., nothing else to do now but record. That's where we are. And we're going to talk about movies and television in the name of the Godfather, the Son of Odin, and the Holy Jedi. During my introduction, somebody's got to text me. You know, it's funny, I have the new settings on my phone where it's like, do not disturb between these hours, so that it never happens. I can't, obviously I was having problems with people accidentally calling or whatever, and I should have done that episodes ago. But now there's still on the computer, I still get notified a little bit. Yeah, is there a way to turn it off on here? Probably. Am I fucking taking the time to do it? Probably not. Because when the fuck can I fit it in? I can't fit anything extra in. No. Yeah, episode 64, that's funny. Wait until we're in the hundreds. Now, I've been wondering how I want to go forward with this show. Because this was always supposed to be a hobby, for fun. It's been something I've been thinking about a lot lately. But it's turning into an extra job that I have. And, the extra job is supposed to be what I actually like doing, what I love doing, and that is writing stories, storytelling. That's what I do. I want to tell stories, not talk about other people's. So I'm thinking about how I want to do this, because there's a lot of fun to this, but it's also taking up too much of my time, and I'm just not writing as much as I need to be, as I want to be. So I'm thinking about either doing episodes of the show when very specific movies come out in theaters, and that's it, like talking about the ones I really want to talk about, and just keeping the Insta page going, usually like that. I have fun with that for me. Like, I just like to go through it and, see what I've put up. Like, I have fun watching the posts. The memes, the clips, I have fun watching those because it's all cinema-related. I love that shit. So, I have fun with that account regardless. So, I will do that probably regardless. But I'm wondering if this part, which takes up so much time, might have to just... And I would trim down on the Insta too, because that takes up some time too that I don't need to be fucking. So I'm just thinking about it, and I'm thinking, do I finish out the season? Obviously, get to 100 episodes, and then kind of change it up, do it differently, or stop and just do the Insta page. Haven't decided yet. Maybe I'll poll it this week and see what people think I should do. I don't know. I just know that I like a balance of things, and with this in my life now, I'm able to fit in my social time, I'm able to fit in my downtime, and then the work is ridiculous. It's not busy like it was for some reason, and so I have to work more hours to get the same amount of money, and so that sucks. And so there's no time for the writing, basically. I get to do maybe a half an hour of it a night now. And it's just not the same. My mind's not in it the way it should be. And I just need to balance, I gotta balance it out. So yeah, you like the posters? They came. This is our next set of posters. Two of my all-time favorite movie, Goodfellas, and then easily, always in my top 10 or 5 or whatever. And this specific poster I found online, and I thought, that is cool because that's the kind of poster I want for this movie. That spaghetti western, old school style look. Because exactly what Tarantino was trying to do. He was trying to make a like contemporary spaghetti western, and that's what he did. And that's why I love this poster, because it just reminds me of like the old school, you know, Leone films and whatnot, which you've seen. I've had them up here. So that's cool as fuck, this poster. Regardless of whether it was going to get used for the show, I'm glad I have this poster. It's cool. That's where we're at there. Nothing else to do but to just do this podcast. Record this. Nothing else to do but record this podcast. And the glare on this poster so bad. It really is, dude. This glare on this one, not liking it. I need a studio set. I also need people who work for me and can do all the shit that I don't want to do. Then it would be a hobby. I've said that before on the show, and now we're repeating ourselves. We're just recycling everything that I've said before. Here we go. Botched another one. Let's move on. News of the week. No Loki this week. No recaps. Oh, man. Whatever. This sucks, right? I'm still wondering how I'm gonna do it when like we got Hawkeye, Miss Marvel. Like, am I gonna just? I might wait till the whole thing's finished, talk about it all at the end. Starting to think that's a better format. Need some new segment here for like Insta, maybe the page for a couple extra posts, some new posts. Maybe I'll do something. But then again, anything I decide to now do is more. This is a chance to do less. Having no recaps. It's a chance to do less. Which I just said I need to try and do less of this. So I can do more of what. So no, I'm just going to keep it simple. As our basic format now, we're back to. I'll bring in a little bit of the draft segment back. We're back to that. And let's see if we can do this in 35 minutes. Are you ready? We're already 9 minutes in. Set. Mark. Set. On your mark. To the set. Quiet on set. Action. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. I'm not watching anything different other than the fact that I want to check out the Masters of the Universe show that just came out on Netflix today. Not today for you, today for me. So far, not looking like it's getting good reviews, but I'll still check it out. And then I'm still watching all the same stuff that I've been watching when I can fit it in. That's basically only on Sundays now, really, that I get to just have the downtime and chill. It's like, yeah, you could use Sunday to, like, fucking do some writing. But it's such a long fucking week. When Sunday gets here, I'm like, fuck it. I'm just. What's better is to be able to go and do things on the weekends. Like, weekends are good for like going out, doing things with people, meeting people, all that stuff. That's really what I use with the weekends for. Much better. We gotta tone this back and get the writing more. You know. Project I'm working on right now has been mulling over in my head all kinds of different ways, but the creative energy isn't there because I'm so tired. So it's like I can't even put the work in to do the things that I know need to be done. If there's movement, it goes, and then it turns into what it's supposed to be. I'm honestly amazed that I wrote a first draft. I don't know how it got done. I keep thinking about that, and I'm like, I don't know how I did this draft. When did I find it's okay. Like, can you do the news of the week now, dude? In cinema and television, some interesting stuff. Like, for instance, Michael B. Jordan is developing a Black Superman project for HBO Max. I thought that they were doing a Black Superman movie, which they still are, I guess. But then this is now separate, and it's on HBO Max, and Michael B. Jordan is involved. It doesn't matter. I'll take both. Again, I've always said it. Different iterations of characters, adaptations, adapting. What was that noise? Did you hear it? It's easy to get her with anything. Unless she's sacked out, which she is. Because she just works so hard all week. She does so much. She does. She's very active. Because I make sure she's active all the time. Yeah, I've said it before. Adapting anything, you get somebody else's vision on something and see what their perspective, their take on it would be. That's why I'm excited for any iteration of anything. So this is still, I'm excited for both of these. Don't know what the connection is, if there is one. But cool stuff. You know what's been interesting to watch has been the series Titans on HBO Max. Another DC property. It's like a live action Teen Titans, but it's not teen. It's the adult. They took an adult approach, and it's very adult in terms of, it's not for kids at all. It's much more grounded, gritty, realistic, more mature of a series. And it's actually got its high points, you know? It has its good moments. It has, like, really solid episodes, and then it has really, like, not so solid episodes. It's all around an average show, but an enjoyable show to watch. And I think anything DC does going forward on HBO Max, in theaters, you'll see a lot of different approaches to DC Comics that we don't just, it's just a whole other playground of characters and tone that Marvel doesn't play with, but that DC does. I think Marvel will. I would like to think they will evolve and start to be able to tell even more gritty or mature stories. Not that their stories aren't mature, but there is a slight aim towards kids when it comes to Marvel, whereas DC has this more adult approach to their characters and their stories, which I think is cool, and I'm looking forward to anything they do, especially in collaboration with their TV property, at their TV network, HBO Max. I'm talking about Warner Brothers, of course, DC, and wow, now I'm just talking and talking and talking and talking, and just go to the next one, which is, what is the deal with whatever Jordan Peele's next movie is? So he dropped a poster for his next project, and it's just called Nope. You know, there's actually, it's a nice play on words. Nope. He has good titles because they're very simple, but sum up probably the whole thing, right? Like Get Out, right? Or Us. I mean, come on. Nope. It's like Rope. It's like Hitchcock's Rope. We got Nope. Oh, dude, that's actually a nice parallel. Because I was saying years ago, after Get Out came out, that Hitchcock was the old master of suspense, and Jordan Peele's on his way to being the new master of suspense. And his first two films have proven such. This movie being called Nope is a nice little possible parallel to Rope by Hitchcock. That's just my take on that. Might have just, maybe I'm way off, but nobody knows what this is about. We're teased as to what it could be. with a new poster. But exciting stuff there. And The Last of Us continuing its movement. I'm always listening to Script Notes, the podcast that Craig Mazin and John August do, the screenwriters. And Craig Mazin's the showrunner of The Last of Us, and he's gives you little snippets of things, but mostly just talks about, when he does talk about The Last of Us, it's mostly when it's craft based and how he's going about actually making the show, which is really actually great. Any movement is great to hear, and now they've casted Anna Torv, the Fringe actress, as a character in the series, as Tess. So that'll be interesting stuff to see. Curb Your Enthusiasm, like I said, we talked about how season 11 might be his last, but season 11 is set to premiere at the end of this year, so that's good news for Curb fans. Definitely looking forward to laughing my ass off at the end of this year. There's also been talks that Hawkeye and Miss Marvel will both be out by the end of this year. And at first I was like, no, one of those is gonna just kind of roll over into 2022, and it's gonna release in 2022, possibly. But also maybe they do both come out at the end of this year, because think about how WandaVision literally ended and Falcon and the Winter Soldier literally started right after it. So you can have them back to back real quick, kind of like that at the end of the year. I can see that. So that's some updates on when things are coming out. But the big news this week, so I'll talk about our big topic, and the coolest thing that I saw this week was the fact that they did finally cast Batgirl for the Batgirl movie that's in development. It's a Batgirl film that we've been tracking here on the show, and we talked recently about how they hired directors and filmmakers officially for the project, and it's the Bad Boys for Life directors that are doing the film, and now they have their lead role for Barbara Gordon. Pretty cool stuff. Leslie Grace, who is she's new. She's very new talent in Hollywood. So it's good. That's good. I like when you go with a more unknown, because I don't know her. I haven't seen anything she's done. But, I mean, she's done at least, I think what did she do? She did something that people would know. But she's fairly new actress, and she's been cast as Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, and that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's it, really. What else do you need to know? Is that we do have a Batgirl. I'm very curious. I'm still very curious what their approach is to their projects and how they... I think it's very smart at this point. There should be no connecting of anything. There should be very minimal. I would say maybe not none, but minimal connecting. I also saw somewhere that only Joss Whedon's version of Justice League is canon, not Snyder's Snyder Cut. That's the dumbest thing that Warner Brothers could ever have officially stated about their universe of films here based on DC Comics. What are you talking about? Should be, going forward, canon should be the Snyder Cut. It's weird. It's just so weird. He was setting it up better than anyone for a little mini, arc of connected stories. And so now we'll just maybe see a lot of crap when it comes to that little mini arc of connected stories. I am, of course, talking about the ones that are connected, like Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Flash, whatever. But they're singular stories that have no connection to anything else are the better stories. They're very contained, independent stories, like Batgirl. So I'm looking forward to Batgirl. I'm looking forward to The Batman. Similar situation. So there's some updates on the film. Batgirl. Leslie Grace. Barbara Gordon. yeah. Yeah. Posted this. Winston Duke officially confirmed his return for Black Panther 2. Yes. M'Baku has to be in that sequel. Has to be. Also might have to be in the series. I think he should be in the series that's coming as well. The Wakanda series for Disney Plus. Again, we also have the Okeu or Okio, Okoye. I think it's Okoye. We have her solo series too. So which one is that the same? Or are they two series? I'm just details will come. But Winston Duke definitely back for the sequel. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is the title, and yeah, Jackass Forever trailer dropped. I didn't even watch it yet, but I don't really need to. I mean, I will watch it, but it's like, it's interesting. They want to do this like. I think the whole idea behind this was that Johnny Knoxville wanted to do some kind of final ride here and kind of even tribute it to Ryan Dunn but Bam Margera's not involved, and it's just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of, it might be like, why at this point? You guys have taken quite a toll on yourselves. Do you need to do this? Everyone's gonna go see it. That's why they're doing it, because everyone's gonna go see it. Everyone's been talking about how Black Widow dropped at the box office, and how that's like some sign of things. No, dude, it's still a pandemic, and they have it on Disney Plus where it's fucking getting purchased, like apparently more than anything. So I think they're gonna be fine. Speaking of box office, what? Bassem Tariq in talks to direct Marvel's Blade, starring Mahershala Ali. In talks, so not officially confirmed, but movement is good. Now, that is a particular case. That is a film in the Marvel Universe. Blade needs to be more grounded, needs to be more mature. Because if you're setting up this supernatural cornerstone of your universe, or of your multiverse now, you need to allow for darker stories to take place in your multiverse. Blade needs to be the first. If not Blade, Moon Knight, whichever one comes out first. Those kind of stories need to be darker. I think they just do. You can't put this sugar-coated kid fucking layer over those kind of stories. It's different than what you've put out before. And I would like to think that Kevin Feige is aware of this. Let's hope he doesn't botch this, because that could be what really fucks Marvel up. That could be the thing that really shakes things up in a bad way for that studio. You gotta be able to adapt and adjust and evolve. So we'll see. Interview with the Vampire, AMC series. I just saw this and it looked interesting. Interview with the Vampire has tapped Mad Men and Game of Thrones alum director Alan Taylor to direct the series. I don't know what it's about exactly. Oh yeah, I did read that it's like based on... It's based on like some comic reels or short stories or something like that. I don't know. I don't want to open it either, because I could lose functioning of my GarageBand, as it has happened before to me. Whatever, dude. Let's move on here, I guess. Last week was Fear Street. And in talking about Fear Street a little bit in the news, director Janet Lee Janiak wants an MCU-style horror verse inspired by R.L. Stine. Honestly, do it, Netflix. Do it. It would be interesting. It would be interesting. I think she, at the very least, has a proper vision for what R.L. Stine's stories would be. She's clearly a fan of his universe. Goosebumps, Fear Street, whatever else he's done. I only ever knew about Goosebumps growing up. I watched those crappy shows, loved them anyway. Didn't know about Fear Street until this, and then I don't know what else he's done. But regardless, if there was like a connectivity with all these stories, and it could be cool. Probably wouldn't have the kind of longevity that you would think it would. Right, but it might be interesting. So that is our news this week. And so we can talk about our topic, which is, this week, the Tomorrow War. On the podcast of tomorrow, the Tomorrow Podcast. Whereas I'm recording today, but you're not getting this till tomorrow, till Sunday. That was a terrible joke, and it did not. The delivery was, but trying my best here, just trying to add a little life to this thing here that we have, our thing that we have together. And so anyway, let's just to make it clear right off don't say it. Don't fucking say right off the bat one more time, dude. Just to be clear from the start here how I feel about the movie. I want to make it known that it's the kind of movie where you really just didn't have to. There was nothing thought-provoking about it at all whatsoever, and I knew that going in. I just didn't realize it would be so conventional, so basic, that, or what's the word? Formulaic? That I was literally predicting everything that would happen before it happened, and was right about everything that happened before it happened. That's how very basic and simple the execution of it was. The structuring of it was. Even the pacing. And the pacing was good. The characters were pretty decent. And the premise was interesting enough. Although, again, not something we haven't seen before. So, the real problem was the plot was so basic, generic, and at times just repetitive. Like, I've seen it before. It really hurt my overall enjoyment of it. Now, with that being said, I still enjoyed it to a point where I could just sit there and just want to see at least our protagonist succeed. But that's it. That's the only reason to stick with it. And it's the only thing that gets you through. It's the only thing that gets you through that rather long third act, drawn out third act. For a second, I could have sworn they were ending the movie after he comes home. Just after he returns from the future to his original timeline. For some reason, I'm like, wow, that was it. I think because he's he's got the formula. They'll be able to make it, but on the bright side, in terms of a little story point, a story note here is that they keep making it more about how people are treated in like a society that it allows for the decision the characters make at the end to actually have legitimate weight. And by that I mean they keep coming back to these themes of hierarchy and social injustice and whatever, like this idea of like people being used and taken and just thrown into. I mean, it would be the most insane thing if there was a global draft and we were being sent to an enemy that we didn't even know about, and just like people dying just constantly, and that would just, the uproar would be how it was portrayed. So I'm thinking that as a concept allowed for the third act to even exist, because if you could just trust the government to do the right thing, which in this case they don't seem to be able to do at all, then you could just end it with like this: okay, we have the toxin, the government, here you go, you'll put it in the right hands, you'll mass produce it, kill these fucking things when they come, no problem, we're good to go. But the movie is setting up the fact that they don't trust the government to do this, and they got to take it into their own hands, go out and do it themselves, kill these fucking things, and call it a day. You know? So, that made sense, that they have this kind of big third act moment where we kind of have this whole just little mini, it's a full act. It's just a full act with just concluding everything that was set up. And I remember, and as I'm watching it too, I'm like, why did I think it would end? There was even like little character moments that needed to be paid off. But maybe it's because I didn't feel invested enough to be like, I need all these things to be paid off. I just didn't care anymore. I just knew that everything was going to happen the way it happened, because I think I paused at like 15 minutes in. 15 minutes in, they tell you that he's a scientist and he wants to do something really, he feels he has a purpose in this world to do something really great, right? It's a future war, and he has a young daughter. And then that kid with the whole volcano thing in class and how it's dismissed very blah, 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 yeah, okay, whatever. Because it's dismissed is why I knew it was going to come back. I'm like, yeah, volcano's going to come back in some way and be a way that they're going to figure that something with volcanoes. His daughter's going to be in the future. Called that right off the bat. No fucking, obviously. Didn't know it would happen the way it did, and as quickly. And I knew that he would be because of his scientific background, it would be him to, except that they didn't. They actually didn't bring that into play the way that, I'm like, okay, scientists, I need to move off of fucking Hollywood Boulevard literally next fucking month, dude. I'm so done with this fucking place, man. I really am. I'm done with this fucking place. I'm done with this cuck above me. I'm done with these fucking just constant shit outside my fucking window. And I'm just done with how small it is and how much I'm paying for how small it is. Doesn't add up. And the buildings, the people, they're not good enough. They don't handle shit the way they should here. Let's just leave it at that. I could go into fucking, but enough reasons to fucking go. Wow. Anyway, yeah, so I thought that because he's a scientist, he would be the one to have the answer to fixing the problem. They just twisted it around a little bit and made it his daughter instead of him. And then by extension him, because he's the only one in the time that he's in the regular time before going to the future, coming back to the past. Might as well fucking call it Back to the, Jesus. It's Back to the Future Part, I don't know. It's time travel's always interesting. Alien stuff. I just don't know that we needed to see a more glorified version of the dynamic between McConaughey's character and Chastain in Interstellar. Basically, what they did was the whole father-daughter thing, but took it and actually made it a whole thing with an actual dynamic and story arc for the characters. Like this whole idea of father-daughter meeting each other different times and being the same age and all that shit, and like, you know, helping each other with some shit. Literally anything that you saw here, you've seen somewhere else. That's kind of how I started to feel as I went along. But yeah, I called it too that they would be living. They're not from space, or that they're in the ground somewhere. They just seemed like the kind of creatures that would be underground creatures. The way that they're nesting creatures, I just like it was very. I could see where it was going the whole time. And at the end, literally every time it was like, do you know anyone who likes Volcano? No, Volcano Kid. Like, do you know anyone who's willing to break fucking international barriers? And there's the father. I'm like, yep, father. Like, just calling it literally seconds before it was happening the whole time. And then I don't know. I just know that I need to I almost feel like it's the kind of movie that should have been seen in a theater too, maybe. Probably. There's also there's kind of a lot of like corny moments characters have that I'm like, oh god. So like the whole thing ends up being about family. They throw voiceover in at the end. That's so out of nowhere. It doesn't fit. Like he's like all of a sudden ending the movie for us. Like, and I never left her, and I would never leave her or my family. Like, why did he never talked to us before, and he's just gonna talk to us now at the end to like finish it off for us? Like we don't need. I don't know. Like we no shit. We can see what you were feeling in that moment. We didn't need you to tell us. It's like the writing was just thrown out of a machine or something. I don't know how to describe how conventional it was. But Chris Pratt's fun to watch. And I like when there's terrifying aliens. And to a point here, there's something horrifying about these kind of aliens that just want to breed and feed. And that's it. Just rapidly eating and eating, fucking, and shitting all the time. And that's it. That's all these things do. And we're the food. That would be horrifying, dude. And they're horrifying. They're like actually like frightening creatures. So I don't know, like that. And then even character decisions were very. You could see him coming from a mile away. He's stabbing at the things in the ship, right, to make them die, and I'm like, dude, you know, you got like a bunch more that you didn't stab yet, and they're just standing there marveling at that it worked. It's like, dude, yeah, it worked. Go do it. Fucking do it to the other ones. You stand, and then lo and behold, they're fucking there. They are. They're coming out, and then it turns into a whole thing. Just a lot of CGI, a lot of fucking blowing up stuff, and you know all that. This is the kind of movie you throw on while you're not trying to think about what you're watching. That's basically it. I'm being polite now when I give it a 7.1 out of 10. I don't know what the point one. I don't know what the extra point is for. 0.1. I could just leave it at 7, really, because it was okay. Because it's still somewhat enjoyable. That's my whole thing here, and that's really what I come back to on a lot of movies: is how enjoyable is it. Writing's important. Some very deep, meaningful character moments are important. Visuals. But at the end of the day, I think it's really about how enjoyable it is. It depends on the genre. It depends on what kind of movie you're watching. If it's drama, you want to feel more than you want to just kind of indulge, right? You want to feel and think. You want something thought provoking and deep and poignant, right? So you don't. It's less about the how much you really enjoy it, and more about how well done it is, how well crafted it, how well put together it was, and if it resonated some message or meaning for you. And then you have stuff like this or Marvel movies or whatever, and Marvel movies have a way of kind of merging the two, which is why I think people get annoyed with movies like Black Widow, because they expect more of the merge with that kind of movie. When at the end of the day, I didn't, and that's why I enjoyed it more, because I wasn't going in expecting it to be some deep, meaningful Natasha movie when her arc has already been completed. I'll always come back to this. We knew she was dead when we watched the movie. So I don't care about seeing some deep, meaningful Natasha story. I just want to see anything that kind of sends her off. And I want to enjoy the shit out of it. That is the difference. If it's something like this movie or Black Widow or those kind of action, sci-fi, whatever, it's more about enjoyability and less about all the other elements. And so when people want to criticize Black Widow for, like, it didn't do this, there was a plot hole there, and, like, I don't think she can lead this story, I don't know, but I had way too much fun watching it to give a shit. And with this movie, I can still give it a 7.1 solidly, because I know that I was able to sit and, like, kind of just indulge and not care about any of the other shit. Just enjoy whatever the fuck it is, because that's what kind of movie it is. If I knew that it was supposed to be some dramatic, like, tale of family, which is what they could have done, because they made this whole theme of family thing here. I swear to God, Vin Diesel's Dom Toretto was gonna pull up in his fucking Charger any second. Challenger? Which one does he have? Whatever. Just because it's all about family, dude. But if that's like a big, heavy theme, and that's what this story is really about, and it's less about all the sci-fi action-y shit, then okay. But I didn't think that was going to be the case at all, and I was right. It's about this big, epic story. Some big epic. If it's some big epic, I less expect that I'm going to be thinking really deeply about it. The best kind of movies, my favorite movies of all, are the ones that merge both. Because I'm a big-time sci-fi nerd. I love that shit. Love it. You got Dune coming out. I can't wait for Dune. I can't wait to read Dune as well. I forgot to write that down. I want to actually... Yeah, that's why that came to mind. Don't know why. But... yeah, when films can merge the sci-fi, the big epic with the melodramatic, not even melodramatic, just dramatic, meaningful shit. Those are the best movies. Those are my favorite movies. Something like Inception, Interstellar. I mean, Nolan's not gonna fail you there. But even like superheroes doing it. That's why Endgame's sort of got that, and just like there's a lot of this is on Amazon Prime right now. You can go watch it. How did we do on the time? Oh, wow, dude. No fucking way 45 minutes in. Holy shit. Well, let's wrap it up then. Let's do our segments here. Had a little fun theme this week. When you give me sci-fi, I'm gonna run with it. So let's do our next episode of Behind the Camera. Here we go. And I think just the only reason I picked this movie was because it had the word tomorrow in the title, and I just literally saw the Tomorrow World, and I was like, or Tomorrow War. I was like, oh, like Edge of Tomorrow, like, but Edge of Tomorrow is a solid fucking sci-fi pick. So let's talk about it for a second. Keep making like weird fucking noises in the mic. Benji's under the mic again. Welcome. That's how I don't know. The 2014 epic Edge of Tomorrow, starring Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt, has many interesting stories behind the making of it. But what I find most interesting is their use of props and creative designs that went into the bringing to life of this world, especially when it comes to the futuristic suits our characters wear in battle. Those armored machines were actually more than just costumes and as close to realistic as possible. They weighed about 85 pounds each, and for the actors, it wasn't easy lugging them around for months of filming. It actually made Emily Blunt cry a little when she initially realized it. Based very heavily on military designs and made from similar products, don't be surprised if we actually see them in existence in our near future. Based on a book, Edge of Tomorrow is also inspired by a lot of science fiction video games, especially Halo, which, when you think about it, makes sense. It even ran through my mind when watching it. Although not hugely successful at the box office, the film was a hit in terms of quality and has since garnered enough of a fan base that a sequel has been asked for, and the project has been hinted at by screenwriter Christopher McQuarrie. When we'll see it and who will be returning has yet to be revealed, but maybe it'll be when he stops making Mission Impossible movies. Looking forward to it nonetheless. Never seen it. But, last week I did a question. I asked about what the best horror movie based on a book was. Fun debate, that was fun. And that's why, see, this is why Inception and Interstellar came to mind, because I want to do another Versus. It's been a while. Let's do another Versus and switch up how we do it a little bit. Let's talk about the two, which Christopher Nolan sci-fi epic is the better picture. So this week we're doing Inception versus Interstellar. Which one you got? As much as I love Interstellar, I'm still picking Inception, because if not for The Dark Knight, that would be Nolan's masterpiece. But what do you think? Interstellar is still a fucking masterful film too. So let's do that. How about that? And my recommendations this week are very straightforward as well. You give me sci-fi, like I said, I'm going to run with it. This film also gave me vibes of Neil Blomkamp's work and Elysium. Elysium is the one people don't talk about as much. People always talk about District 9 or Chappie. Chappie? Happy? Pappy? Cartwright? Four? Yeah, Elysium stars Matt Damon, and it might even might have just flew under your radar, but it's actually pretty decent sci-fi pick. You should go check it out. And then on TV, Altered Carbon. It sucks that it got canceled. Only 2 seasons, but 2 entertaining seasons, and they're on Netflix, and you can go watch them. But first season, Joel Kinnaman. Second season, Anthony Mackie, dude. So yeah, I was really curious to see who was gonna be the next. The whole concept is like that's what makes it so cool. And it would have been like every season could have been a new sleeve. Like it's all like you just change your body, but your mind is still you. So he was in one body in the first season, which was Joel Kinnaman's, and now and then he was in Anthony Mackie's in the second season. It's a very cool concept. I was really curious to see who they would do for the third season. But I also think I might be forgetting how the second season ended. They might have made it where he officially had his sleeve back, like his original body back, or he was gonna stay in the Mackie sleeve. I don't remember, but we'll never know now, I guess. Maybe they should do like a comic series for it to like finish it or something. Do some other medium for it and finish the story in some way. It would be cool. Or find another network that might want to do it. That's always an option. Network. Streaming service. That's what we really use now. And yes, dude, I get to do another Star Wars this week. Sci-fi, going with it. I'm not gonna... So I finally get to... You guys, definitely read the original Thrawn trilogy. And this is, of course, Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command. Okay? Yeah, the original Thrawn trilogy, it's incredible. It's a worthy addition to the Star Wars lore, to the story of Luke, Han, and Leia. A worthy continuation that, if turned into films, would have been far more enjoyable for us as fans than the Disney sequels. But of course, there would have been no way to do it because it requires a young Luke, Han, and Leia. And we would never want to recast those roles. But I've always said it before, do an animated adaptation of Legends. Do it. Do an animated TV series on Disney Plus, a Legends fucking adaptation, alternate timeline, whatever you want to call it, but literally, Han, Luke, and Leia, just do it. You can have Mara Jade, you can have fucking Corran Horn, Kip Duran and the kids, Jason and Jaina, and just run with it, dude. But it's super worthy, and the books are just fantastic, dude, and they get better every one. The Last Command's my favorite. The third one's my favorite. I just think that the best thing about it, other than the story, is the great characters. I mean, besides Thrawn and Joruus C'baoth and like Mara Jade is the scene stealer and one of the greatest Star Wars characters of all time. And it would be great for any of you to experience it. So go read all three of them. And of course, once you do, it'll probably make you want to keep going in that whole storyline, which is a big, long storyline. Many, many books, but which I'm currently in the process of, and it'll take me years to finish it because I don't have time for anything. Yeah. I guess we're done here. Somehow I dragged that out too. We're 55 minutes in now. The draft is my segment usually here, right? But I talked about research. I thought it was interesting so we'll do a little segment here of the draft. And I just wanted to talk about how character is formed early on in the outlining. You bring the characters to life at some point early on, whether it's before research or after or during, and research can parallel and connect to your characters. At some point, the characters are probably going to live and exist in this world you've created. The world is going to exist outside of you. And I think it's interesting to think about how you could let the characters run with it. I just want to start thinking that way a little bit more. When I write now going forward, I just know that I want to think a little more like that. Less trying to steer them in a certain direction and just kind of let them decide where things are going to go. It's really how I'm going to approach this project I'm working on now as I go into writing a second draft for it. I want to try to let the characters tell me what the fuck happens. Something Tarantino said, and I just thought it was a very interesting way of thinking. about how you actually bring something to life is that you let it have its own life. You know what I mean? Now, trying to do it the way he does it is probably also not. I mean, he's him because he's him, but just even as just an exercise to help your mind and your creative spark get flowing, maybe, or just to let things loosen up in there, in that noggin when you're trying to write, or maybe when you're stuck, try to just listen. I always just try to listen a little bit and see if they talk to me a little bit and tell me how things should go. But we'll talk more about character in later episodes of the draft. I just wanted to bring that up in this week's segment real quick. Caught my attention. Bezos went to space. And the Delta variant can suck me. I'm living in Los Angeles County over here, where there's a mask mandate again. Now, with that being said, it's recommended a little bit more than it's being pushed, I think. But everyone's going to do it anyway. Businesses, restaurants, whatever, they're going to do it. I don't know. This shit just everybody needs to chill out. You know what really bothers me the most about this whole thing? Is that this will go down in history as the one people dismiss. As like we fucked up in our handling of it kind of thing. Either one side's going to be like, we fucked up in our handling of it, and we should have done better to avoid more deaths, blah, 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 right? And the other side's going to be like, we fucked up in the handling of this. It was that bitch-ass, just glorified flu that we never should have fucking locked down for in the first place. So we're never going to come to an agreement on this, and it's just sad, and it's just... whatever. Patrons are awesome, and that's why they get these shout-outs. So as usual, we'll always shout out to our patrons. Patrons are Billy Thomas, Jessica Murphy, Michael Morganti, Linda Morganti, T-John Construction, and Doolin Morganti. And I think it's interesting to think that those are the same names I've been reading for weeks. So someone else, just hop on in, you know? Come join the club. It literally costs you it's money you would scrape up on the street, probably, or in coins. It's $5 a month to get a shout out, to get a fucking shirt, a free shirt. Dude. $5 a month? $5 a month? Patreon.com/preacher is where you go ahead and do that. Follow me at DeBenji. Follow the show at Screen Preach. That's preach, not peach. Check out my website at margettistory.com for my first 7 screenplays and help get them into the right hands. And subscribe to BMS Studios on YouTube, where you get all the weekly episodes of Screen Preach and other content. But as always, I appreciate anyone who comes back every week and watches or listens. And you can find it on all the platforms. Thanks for hanging out once again. Thank you. Have a good night.